And as for background checks, because this is something, if you see in polling, the Marquette Law School poll in January, 85% of the people in this state said, we favor mandatory background checks on private gun sales, internet sales, or sales at gun shows. That's what we want to see.
Everybody who has a license to sell a gun, whether it's through a gun show or other means, has to do background checks. But if you and I are our next door neighbors and I want to sell you my .22 that I've had since I was a kid, there's no mechanism to do it. If I go to a garage sale and I buy something from you because you're my next door neighbor, that's a different story. But if I go to a gun show and buy a gun from a licensed dealer, that licensed dealer has to run a background check on me.
You don't think there's any fix to the private gun sales, for example, the internet gun sales or gun show sales?
No, I think those are all reasonable issues we've got to do and decide. But that's not what they're asking for. By the way, the Democrats had a clear majority in the first term of Barack Obama. They didn't talk about any of this stuff. They could have passed anything they wanted to. They chose not to. What I worry about is an exploitation of an issue for political gain, for fundraising gain, off of a tragedy. Let's make sure that we have problems that are getting solved if we're going to prosecute terrorism. And that's the last point I want to make is terrorism. This is about terrorism. This is about radical Islamic jihad. This is about Americans being radicalized by ISIS committing terrorist acts in America. So that is the real problem. We've got to make sure we're doing what we need to do to keep ourselves safe to prevent future terrorist attacks. And I don't think we should be dissuaded or distracted away from doing that.
Those who would look at Sandy Hook, for instance, and would say that's not necessarily the same as what happened in Orlando.
Right. That's why we've already passed out of committee our bill on mental health reform, because we do think that there are mentally unstable individuals that was part of the problem. Columbine was not mental, but so was Newtown was. So we've actually passed legislation. We're bringing it up when we get back from the July 4th recess to actually deal with mental health and access to guns on people who are mentally unhealthy.